Hello there ladies, welcome back to my channel. As promised, here is part 2 of the transgender versus black women conversation. So as I said in my previous video, there has been conflict between transgenders and black women, with the transgenders feeling that they can interfere with the black women's boundaries and name call and degrade black women as they've learned from the black manosphere. However, this is very sad because black women have always been like some of their biggest supporters, and it's kind of proving the fact that black women are mules, because at this point everyone that black women supports and fights for seems to be living once they gain advantages in society and all that. Black males already did that. Once they were accepted into other communities, they left black women in the dust. Now the LGBT are also starting to throw black women under the bus after all that has happened. So here's what I think will happen within the next few years. As you may have heard, there is something called the slippery slope, which just argues that once one thing is promoted, something else is bound to follow. Once gay marriage was legalized, this was bound to happen. Like, even as a Christian, we never really spoke about the transgenders. We spoke mostly about the zoophiles. So it's very sad to see that we have come from, we are not even, it's even worse than what we imagined. Christians believed it would get worse once the zoophiles showed up, but apparently we are still at the T stage in the letters, and we already have all these problems. So I don't know it's about to get much worse. And of course, black women are going to suffer the most because we are the most unprotected. And also, some black women are happy to throw us under the bus for attention, for validation from these groups. One thing in particular you may have noticed about the LGBTQ is the constant addition of new letters and identities and sexualities. Now that gender is considered fluid, you can expect many more sexualities to show up, but the ones that most Christians obviously saw as a threat was zoophilia and necrophilia. Necrophilia is not that common, but zoophilia is common. There are forums all over the deep web dedicated to that. And in the one case that interested me in particular was Malcolm Brenner, a zoophile who fell in love with a dolphin and had relations with it. Now, he had an interview on YouTube, and okay, then the interview has been taken down. I couldn't find it. And he said that if black people are considered human, why can't he be allowed to sleep with animals? Now you can see that black people are really the recipient of the joke in everything. And black males are okay with this because they cannot compete with other races of men, so they just accept their place at the bottom and hope to pass their suffering down to black women. So what happens is that these types of groups have noticed this, and they have taken this into account when considering how to, argue for their quote unquote rights. So now there's an argument that he was pushing. I wish I could find that interview. I couldn't find it. For some reason. But there were many videos made in reaction to him. And it's just a matter of time before those types of people show up, because we already have the maps, minor attracted people. So it's only a matter of time before the zoophiles kick up their campaigns to get noticed. So there's a very worrying trend, and I know for a fact that black women will be thrown under the bus when that happens. That's what always happens in these cases. But I know by at that point, I do not think that black women will have really changed their mindset. One thing I always say is that abuse breeds obsession, and rejection also breeds obsession. The more black men reject and abuse black women, the more black women are obsessed. What evidence do I have of this? Look at South Africa. Look at countries that are the rape capital of the world, some of the worst countries in the world, and see how attached the women tend to be to that toxic society. So I feel like the worse it gets, the more black women will, the more the divide will start to show between black women who are ready to divest and black women who will think with their black kings. However, I know for a fact that we cannot rely on black women as a whole, so don't be surprised when you see black women supporting these types of people in the near future. They are already supporting the trans community when they degrade black women. Don't be surprised when they support people who dehumanize black women even further. There is no limit to the mule's desire to see black women struggle. There is none. There is no limit. So for now, we can just push back in the way that we can. But otherwise, the LGBTQ as a whole has started to annoy a lot of people. They are making a lot of enemies. And it mostly stems from those two letters, the T's and the Q's, although the other groups are also problematic. But the main issue is with those two, the T's and the Q's. So I don't think that black women will be the only ones pushing back, because everyone is starting to realize that there is something wrong with this community. That it's a never-ending struggle to gain. It's a never-ending cycle of struggle, because once the struggle is eliminated, they have nothing to protest for. They have nothing to claim victimhood for. So they can never shut up. Had I known back in the days of Tumblr that this is how it would have ended up, I wouldn't have believed it either. All Christians knew that the slippery slope will come to pass, but we didn't know that it would be this intense. We thought that it would be the Christians mainly who are suffering, but now you find that a large subset of women are the ones who are complaining. So with that, I'll have to close off this topic. There's a lot to be said about the trans community, black women, and why they identify so much. All of it it's just about the idea of glorifying struggle and all that. But we can definitely see that most black women will not learn now. They did not learn in the past, they are not learning now, and even in the future, they will still accept these negative changes that are going to happen. So in closing, I think we should really rethink the concept of progress. What is good progress? What is negative progress? And I know that's an oxymoron, but at this point, we really need to differentiate between positive and negative progress. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Thank you.